I'm not your mom anymore. Those words hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot. Heavy, acrid, irreversible. Claire stood in the kitchen doorway, gripping a mug of cold coffee, staring at her son as if she were seeing him for the first time in 15 years. He didn't answer. He just turned and walked out, slamming the door so hard the framed photo on the wall trembled. The one of the three of them on the beach when he was 10. She hadn't meant to say it. She hadn't wanted to say anything at all. But the words had burst out on their own, like pus from a wound left untouched too long. Now the wound was open and everything that had built up over the years, resentment, silence, exhaustion, fear, spilled out in one murky flood. Claire and Mark lived in a Chicago suburb, in a house with white shutters and a neatly trimmed lawn that Mark mowed to perfection every Sunday. Their neighbors considered them the model family. 2 kids, stable jobs, a dog named Buddy who only barked at the mailman. But behind that perfect facade was a crack, growing deeper with each passing year. Their son, Nathan, now 17, lived with earbuds permanently in his ears and a look of quiet irritation in his eyes. Their daughter, Emily, 2 years younger, was quiet and withdrawn, preferring to communicate through her phone screen, even with her own parents. And Claire and Mark? They'd long stopped truly talking to each other. Their conversations had shrunk to logistics. Will you pick Nathan up from practice? Emily didn't come to dinner again. The electric bill came. But today, everything unraveled. It started at dinner. Just an ordinary Tuesday. Claire had made lasagna, Nathan's favorite meal as a kid. He walked in, dropped his backpack on the floor, sat down without a word. She asked how school was. He shrugged. She asked why he'd skipped the parent-teacher conference. Because it's pointless, he said. She tried to explain that his future depended on these meetings. He shot back. My future isn't your concern. And that's when she said what she shouldn't have. I'm not your mom anymore. Mark, sitting at the table with his laptop, looked up. He didn't intervene. He just closed the lid and retreated to the garage, the same thing he always did when storms brewed between her and the kids. He didn't know how to mediate. He was afraid of saying the wrong thing. Or maybe he was just tired. Claire was left alone. She washed the dishes, wiped the table, gathered Emily's notebooks scattered in the living room. Then she sat on the couch and for the first time in years let herself cry. Not quietly, not into a pillow, but fully, with sobs, with pain, with the crushing sense that she'd failed at the one thing that mattered most. The next morning, Nathan didn't come to breakfast. His door was locked. Emily ate toast in silence, eyes down. Claire knocked on his door. No answer. She typed a message. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. And deleted it. What had she meant? That she was exhausted? That she was scared for him? That she felt helpless? She went to work. She was an accountant at a small firm. Coworkers joked that she knew everything about numbers but nothing about people. Today she didn't laugh back. That evening Mark came home late. He brought pizza. Another attempt to fix things. But Nathan stayed in his room. Emily ate 2 slices and disappeared. Claire and Mark sat in the kitchen in silence, broken only by the drip of a leaky faucet. We did something wrong, Mark finally said. We did everything wrong, she replied. He didn't argue, because he knew she was right. They tried to be perfect parents, giving everything. Education, safety, love, or so they thought. But somewhere along the way they'd stopped listening. They'd only heard what they wanted to hear. They'd seen their children through the lens of their own expectations, not through the kids' eyes. The next day, Claire took the day off. She didn't know what to do, but she knew this couldn't go on. She went to the school counselor, not for Nathan but for herself, because she realized the problem wasn't him. The problem was that she didn't know how to be a mother to a teenager who was no longer a child but not yet an adult. Someone who didn't ask for help but clearly needed it. The counselor listened without judgment. She explained that parent-teen conflict is normal. But normal doesn't mean you ignore it. You have to relearn. Learn to listen without judgment. Learn to speak without fear. Learn to forgive even yourself. Claire went home with a new resolve. She wouldn't wait for Nathan to open the door. She'd knock again. And again. until he heard her, not as a controlling adult, but as someone who loved him and was terrified of losing him. That evening she made his favorite dessert, chocolate pudding. She left it outside his door with a note. I'm still your mom, even if you don't want me to be. 2 days passed. Nathan didn't come out, but the plate was gone, and on the floor was a note from him. I didn't mean to hurt you. Claire cried again, but this time it was relief. She knocked on his door. This time he opened it. They sat on his bed in silence. Then he said, I feel like I'm messing everything up. No, she said. You're just growing. And it hurts. For both of us. He nodded. There was a weariness in his eyes she'd never noticed before. He wasn't angry. He was lost. I don't know who I want to be, he whispered. You don't have to know right now, she said. You can just be. I'm here. He didn't hug her, didn't say thanks. But he didn't close the door when she left. The next night at dinner he sat at the table, earbuds off. He asked how her day went. She answered. Mark raised his eyebrows in surprise but said nothing. Even Emily seemed less tense. It wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Slow, uncertain, full of missteps. But a beginning. Claire understood now. Parenting isn't about control. It's about trust. Even when you're scared, even when it hurts, even when you think you've ruined everything. She'd never say, I'm not your mom anymore again, because it wasn't true. She'd always be his mother, even when he yelled, even when he shut down, even when he walked away. Love isn't canceled by words. It's only lost if you stop looking for it. A week later they went to the movies, all 4 of them. Nathan picked the film. Emily sat between her parents. Mark rested his hand on Claire's knee. No one talked about what had happened, but everyone felt it. Something had shifted. At home before bed, Nathan stopped by the kitchen. Mom, he said, are you still mad? She shook her head. I just want to understand you. I want you to understand me too, he said quietly. It's just, sometimes I don't know how to explain it. Then just stay close, she said. That's enough. He nodded and left. She stood by the window, looking out at the dark yard where Mark would mow the grass again tomorrow. And for the first time in a long while she felt it. Everything would be okay. Not perfect, but okay. Because family isn't the absence of conflict. It's the willingness to find your way back to each other. Even when it feels like there's no path left. Sometimes all it takes is saying, I'm still your mom.